My name is Jess Carter, and I'm 22 years old, working doubles at the only 24-hour McDonald's in Hollows End, West Virginia. This town is a ghost of its former self, with boarded-up storefronts outnumbering the open ones. The flickering golden arches of our restaurant are the only light for miles, and I often wonder how long it will be before they go dark too. I dropped out of community college last year, burdened by $15,000 in student debt and my mother's mounting medical bills. My older sister, Maddie, is the store manager, and she's the only reason I still have this job. She's tough as nails, but even she's exhausted, covering shifts because corporate won't approve more hires. Every night I slip into my uniform, the smell of grease and stale fries clinging to me like a second skin. I try to push through the panic attacks that hit me when I'm alone in the walk-in freezer, but it's getting harder. The weight of responsibility feels like a boulder on my chest, and I can't shake the feeling that I'm trapped in a cycle I can't escape. As I clock in for another shift, I remind myself that I'm doing this for my family. But deep down, I know I'm also doing it for me, to prove that I can survive in a world that seems determined to crush me. It was 3:17 a.m. when the pounding started at the employee entrance, the one only staff knew about. The lobby had been locked for hours, and the sound echoed through the empty restaurant. I glanced at Maddie, who was peering through the security feed. Jesus, that's Hank Grady. Worked the old number 7 mine with Dad, she said, her voice tight with concern. I felt a chill run down my spine. Hank had been a fixture in our lives, a man who had seen the town's glory days and its decline. But we didn't open the door. Protocol was protocol, and we couldn't risk letting anyone in without knowing what was going on. Y'all gotta let me in. He's coming. Hank's voice was raw from screaming, and I could hear the desperation in it. When I finally cracked the back door to look, I found a single work boot. The steel toe caved in like something had stomped it. Coal dust footprints led to the door, but not away from it. My heart raced as the drive-thru mic clicked on by itself, playing static that sounded like labored breathing. Something was very wrong, and I could feel it in my bones. Last summer, during shift number 37, an old trucker named Earl had bled out at the drive-thru window while I handed him his coffee. I still remembered his last words, "Tell my girl," before the flatline drowned him out. Now every time the headsets glitched, I heard his voice echoing in my mind, "Tell my girl, tell my..." It haunted me, a reminder of the fragility of life in this dying town. As Hank continued to scream about the man in the vest, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Earl never wore a vest, but the connection was undeniable. The old mine had taken so much from us, and now it felt like it was reaching out from the grave. Maddie and I exchanged worried glances, but we couldn't afford to let fear take over. Corporate wouldn't fix the cameras, claiming there was no evidence of trespassing. I felt trapped, knowing that if we reported this, Maddie could lose her manager bonus, the only thing keeping our power on. The ice machine hummed, and the drive-thru light blinked. No cars were in sight, but I could feel someone or something always listening. 3 days later, Hank Grady's body was found at the old mine. The coroner ruled it as exposure, but the details were unsettling. His boots were full of fresh McDonald's napkins, and his hands were scrubbed raw with sanitizer. It didn't make sense, and the town buzzed with rumors. I couldn't shake the feeling that we had failed him. We had ignored his pleas, and now he was gone. The weight of guilt settled heavily on my shoulders, and I found myself questioning everything. Every morning I opened the store to find one large black coffee waiting at the first window. No order on the screen and no car on the camera. It felt like a ghost was haunting me, a reminder of the lives lost in this town. Maddie tried to keep things running. As the days turned into weeks, the atmosphere at the McDonald's grew heavier. The whispers about Hank's death lingered in the air, and I could feel the weight of the town's despair pressing down on us. Every time I opened the store, I half expected to see Hank's ghost standing at the drive-thru, waiting for his coffee. One particularly frigid night, I was working the late shift with Maddie. The restaurant was eerily quiet, the only sounds coming from the hum of the fryers and the occasional clatter of trays. I felt a chill run down my spine as I glanced at the drive-thru window. The light flickered, and for a moment I thought I saw a figure standing there. "Jess, you okay?" Maddie asked, noticing my distraction. "Yeah, just... I thought I saw something," I replied, shaking my head. As the night wore on, the drive-thru headset crackled to life, and I heard a familiar voice. "Welcome to McDonald's." It was Earl's voice echoing through the static. My heart raced as I turned to Maddie, who looked just as pale as I felt. "Did you hear that?" I whispered, my voice trembling. Maddie nodded, her eyes wide with fear. "We need to get out of here." But before we could leave, the pounding started again, this time at the front door. I felt a surge of panic as I glanced at the security feed. It was Hank, his face gaunt and desperate. "Let me in, he's coming." Maddie and I exchanged horrified glances. We couldn't ignore him again. "Jess, we can't open that door," Maddie said, her voice shaking, but I couldn't stand by any longer. I had to know what was happening. I moved toward the door, my heart pounding in my chest. "We have to help him." As I reached for the handle, the lights flickered, and the temperature in the room dropped. I could see my breath in the air, and a sense of dread washed over me. "Jess, don't," Maddie shouted, but it was too late. I pulled the door open and Hank stumbled inside, his eyes wild with fear. "Thank you," he gasped, collapsing to the floor. "He's coming for me." In the days that followed, we learned that Hank had been trying to warn us about the dangers of the old mine. He had seen something that had haunted him since the day it closed. Maddie and I reported everything to the authorities, and they finally took action. The mine was shut down for good, and the town began to heal. As for me, I realized that I couldn't let fear control my life any longer. I started taking steps to pay off my debt and find a new path. I enrolled in a local community college again, determined to finish what I started. The McDonald's became a symbol of resilience for me. It was a place where I had faced my fears and learned the importance of listening to those in need. In the end, I understood that life is fragile, and we must cherish every moment. We can't ignore the cries for help, whether they come from a friend, a stranger, or even a ghost. They say people disappear all the time. That's easy to believe in Hollow's End. Streetlights flicker like they're trying to stay awake, sidewalks buckle with frost heaves, and the only open place after midnight is the 24-hour McDonald's, 2 blocks from my apartment. I used to work there until something in the walk-in freezer made me quit mid-shift and never look back. I live above a laundromat that hasn't run since 2019. My heat clicks off every few hours and the radiator hisses like it's warning me. Most nights I stay glued to freelance deadlines or scroll forums I shouldn't be reading at 3 a.m. I don't leave much. Not since Ava left. Not left. Disappeared. Last year she went out for Tylenol. Never came back. No note, no suitcase. Just her half-empty coffee mug still warm and her closet door left open. They said she ghosted me. But Ava wasn't like that. And I've learned to trust my gut more than people. So when I ordered a McDouble and fries that night, it wasn't out of hunger. It was to break the silence. You get used to living with a voice missing in the room. But sometimes, the quiet eats. You 2:03 a.m. My order gets picked up by Anthony. No photo, no reviews. That's weird, but not unheard of. I refresh the app. His car icon stops moving, right near the old rail yard. A minute later, Uber Eats reassigns it to Lori. I text, "All good?" No response. Lori's car starts heading toward my street. Then her icon disappears completely. Now I'm not hungry. I'm pacing. I check the door twice. Make sure it's locked. Grab the pepper spray I keep taped under the kitchen drawer. 4:47 a.m. New driver, Robert. He messages, "Be there in 5, then." "What's your apartment number?" I don't answer. I cancel the order. My heart's jackhammering, but I try to convince myself it's nothing. Maybe Robert's just awkward. Maybe the app's glitching. Maybe I'm reading too much into it because of what happened with Ava. Then comes the knocking, not tapping. Bang, bang, bang. I freeze. 3 hits. Like someone trying to make sure I hear. My apartment doesn't have a peephole. Landlord says it was sealed over during renovations. There's no camera, no intercom, just that thick wood door and a hallway no one cleans. Then I hear it, a voice muffled but too close. Order for Carter. I don't move. I didn't confirm the order, didn't give an apartment number. But somehow someone is standing right outside my door holding a McDonald's bag. I don't answer. I wait. The silence stretches. After a while, I hear retreating footsteps, slow, deliberate. I count to 60 before unlocking the door. There's a bag on the doormat, not the usual folded brown paper kind. This one's darker, wet. Ketchup, at least I hope it's ketchup, seeps through the seams. Inside, one cold McDouble, fries, 2 small shakes I never ordered, and a note, just one line. You didn't let Ava in either. I nearly throw up. I slam the door. Lock it, chain it, shove a chair against it for good measure. My mind spins. Was this a joke? A threat? Something worse? I open the Uber Eats app again. Robert's account is gone. No trace, no messages, no refund. Option. Just a blank page like he never existed. I don't sleep. The next day, I call support. I explain everything. The drivers, the weird messages, the bag. The woman on the line hums politely, types something, then says, "We have no record of any delivery to your address in the last 24 hours. I hang up. Next, I call the McDonald's, the one I used to work at. I ask if Dave's still there. Long pause. Then the shift lead says, "Dave? He hasn't worked here in months. Thought he got fired for, weird hiring practices." Weird's one word for it. Back when I worked night shifts, Dave had a habit of bringing in people off the books. Guys with no IDs, no background, checks. Just walked in, threw on a hat, and started working the fryer. I never asked questions. I needed the money. But after one shift, the freezer door closed on its own. I heard footsteps inside. But when I opened it, no one was there. Just boot prints leading into the corner and none coming back out. That's when I quit. That's also when Ava started acting distant. Now I'm thinking maybe she saw something. Maybe she knew. That night, 3:01 a.m., the knocking comes again. No bag this time. Just a shadow beneath the door. Then a new text. Unknown number. Dave says hi. I don't leave the apartment for days. I board up the peephole with duct tape and tinfoil. I tape a kitchen knife under my coffee table. I start writing everything down. Names, dates, screenshots, Ava's phone. Number. Still dead, her email. Gone. Her landlord said she must have moved. But I find something I missed. An old photo of her in our living room, holding a red McDonald's hat. Guess who's on night shift? I'd forgotten she worked there too. Only a few weeks. She quit before I did. Said something about Dave giving her the creeps, but she never explained. Just said, if I don't quit, something bad's gonna happen. Then she was gone. I dig the bag out of the trash, it still smells. The paper's stiff now, but on the inside flap, in tiny ink, "Help me," written twice, once in pen, once in what looks like dried ketchup, but it's too dark, too brown. Underneath that, scratched with something sharp. A. Carter, Ava Carter. She signed her name inside a delivery bag. It's been 2 months. I haven't ordered out since. I cook now barely. Instant rice, canned soup, whatever doesn't require a delivery guy. But the bags still show up once a week, always around 3 a.m. No knock now. Just the smell. They're left like offerings. One time, it had a photo inside. Old, worn. Ava at the register smiling. Someone, Dave, I think, standing behind her, blurry. Another time, just fries soaked in black fluid. No receipt, no explanation. I called the police. They came, took notes, then said I probably misinterpreted things. No camera in my hallway, no witnesses, no crime. So I wait. I keep a journal. I document every bag, every knock, every glitch in the app. I'm starting to think Ava's not the only one. The drivers, Anthony, Lori, Robert, they all vanished in the same spot. Maybe that McDonald's isn't haunted. Maybe it's worse. A gate. And Dave? He knew how to open it. There's a final line in Ava's handwriting, inside the last bag I received. Torn napkin, shaky script. Some deliveries aren't food, they're people. In a world built on convenience, we forget the cost of outsourcing trust. Some things shouldn't be delivered, especially the past, especially people. Back when I still thought life owed me something, I was studying psychology at a junior college 3 towns over. That was before Dad's cancer bills, before Sally Mae sank her claws in, and long before I realized how little a 3.2 GPA meant in the real world. Now, I clock in 5 nights a week at the McDonald's off Route 6 in Blackwater, Missouri. Population shrinking, meth sales rising. They call it a 24-hour joint, but between 2 and 4 a.m., this place turns into something else. Something slow. Wrong. The lights hum too loud. The fryer leaks. The soda machine sprays like it's mad at you. The ice cream machine? Haven't seen that bastard working since Biden took office. It was early March when they brought in Kevin Rojas. Skinny dude, sharp jawline, not a hair out of place. Said he was from out west, wouldn't say more. Had that kind of smile that didn't quite touch his eyes. He started off like most, quiet, polite, but too quiet. You ever meet someone and your gut just won't shut up about them? That was Kevin. He moved like he knew the layout before he walked in. Stared at the security monitors more than the grill. One night I caught him writing something in a little notebook between orders. When I asked, he just shrugged. Just thoughts, he said. Right. The first red flag came on a Wednesday, 2:13 a.m. sharp. An order buzzed through the system. 10 black coffees. No cream, no sugar. Pickup name, Mr. Holloway. Address, Old Mill Road. That's where the burned-out farmhouse sits. Place has been empty since the meth lab exploded 5 years ago. Sheriff won't even patrol that stretch unless someone gets shot. We both stared at the screen. Joke? Kevin asked. But I'd seen that order before. Once last month, the night Marcus walked out and never came back. Back then, I thought it was a glitch. That night, the coffees sat there, untouched, till morning. That was the beginning of the end. You learn not to ask too many questions on the night shift. You learn how to fake smiles, how to dodge tweakers, how to guess someone's order before they speak. But nothing prepares you for silence that feels intentional. It was Friday when Kevin disappeared. I'd been cleaning the fryer, elbows deep in congealed grease, when I realized the headset had gone quiet. Kevin was supposed to be up front. He always handled late orders, even liked it. Said it gave him time to think. I called out. Nothing. I checked the dining room, empty except for those damn 10 coffees, still steaming slightly. Drive-thru. Screen was blank. Clock read 2:30 a.m. Then I glanced up at the security monitor, static. The feed glitched for exactly 37 seconds. No snow, no distortion, just blank like something was actively blocking it. And then, I heard it, from the walk-in freezer. A scrape. Long and low, like a boot dragging across tile. Not rushed, not panicked. Deliberate. I grabbed a cleaver from the prep table. Yeah, we're not supposed to keep one out, but you work this job long enough, you start bending the rules. My hands were shaking, palms slick with fryer oil. Kevin? I said. No answer. Every part of me screamed, don't open that door. And then pop, the lights flickered out. Just like that. Emergency fluorescence blinked on 5 seconds later. I swear they hummed louder. The smell of burnt coffee filled the air. But the freezer door? Still closed. I ran. Didn't even clock out. Just bolted into the cold Missouri night and didn't stop until I hit the far end of the parking lot, wheezing like a smoker. The next morning, Kevin's apron was hanging out back behind the dumpster. Same place I'd found Marcus's old name. Tag, crusted with something that looked an awful lot like dried blood. Still warm to the touch. I should have quit then. But the thing about being broke in America, you don't get to walk away. The coffees kept coming. Every night at 2:13 a.m. on the dot, the system would ping. 10 black coffees. Mr. Holloway. Same abandoned farmhouse. I started documenting them on a notepad tucked into my apron. At first it felt like a joke, like some old system bug no one fixed. But then the pattern set in. Only came on Kevin's shifts, only appeared after 2 a.m. Only I saw them. Management thought I was losing it. Janice, my manager, said I needed sleep. Maybe cut back on the Monster energy drinks, she said, laughing, as she scrolled through the camera footage on her tablet. But the feed always glitched. Same 37-second blackout. Never at the same minute. Always around the time something wrong happened. I printed a still image from the last clean frame before the glitch. Kevin, standing at the window, staring at nothing. His reflection showed someone else standing behind him. Someone taller, wearing what looked like a paper hat, old-school McDonald's uniform, but the counter behind them was empty. Only one shadow on the floor. Kevin's. I started digging into Marcus's disappearance. Found his sister on Facebook. She told me he was acting paranoid his last week. Thought someone was watching him. Said he saw shadows moving inside the freezer door when it was shut. I thought it was drugs, she said. But maybe he was right to run. I almost quit again. I even filled out the transfer form online. But when I went to submit it, the site timed out. Twice. Then my apartment power went out. Then my car wouldn't start. It was like the job had grown roots. And I was just soil. And every night the order buzzed in like clockwork. Every night the coffee sat there untouched. I stopped drinking coffee. The night I went back into the freezer, I'd already decided two things. If I didn't figure this out, I was going to end up like Marcus. If I did, I might still end up like Marcus, but at least I'd know. It was cold that night, colder than usual for March, the kind of cold that finds its way under your skin and makes your bones feel hollow. I waited until the order came through, 2:13 a.m., just like always. Then I locked the front door, slipped on the rubber gloves, grabbed the cleaver again. The walk-in freezer looked normal at first. Shelves of frozen patties, bags of fries, a busted box fan in the corner. But then I saw it, carved into the frost on the back wall, just barely visible. Holloway was here. Below. And so was Marcus. My breath froze mid-air, and then the light above me flickered. I turned, and there was a figure. Not Kevin. Taller. Like someone had cut a shadow out of the air itself and forgot to glue it back in right. It didn't move, but the door slammed shut behind me. I screamed. Pounded. No one heard. The temperature dropped. My gloves froze to the metal handle, and then whispering, not in my ears but in my skull, keep serving. Don't stop. More coffee. When I finally burst out 5 minutes or 5 hours later, I honestly don't know. The store was empty. The coffees were gone. And Kevin's notebook was sitting on the counter, open to a page that just said, "The order never stops. I still work there." I know how that sounds. But when you're $8,000 in debt and no other job will touch you, you learn to make peace with the monsters. I take my meds. I smile at customers. I stopped asking about the freezer. When the order comes in, I make the coffees. 10 cups, no cream, no sugar. I set them down gently, like an offering. Sometimes I think I see movement out of the corner of my eye. Sometimes I hear Kevin's voice in the headset, "Keep serving." Sometimes I wonder if Marcus is still alive, or if he's somewhere in the system now, part of the order loop. I've come to believe this place wants something, needs it, like a stomach that never fills. Maybe every McDonald's has a back room like this, maybe we all just ignore it. But I know one thing. Some shifts don't end at sunrise. Some don't end at all. Don't ignore your gut. Don't trade your sanity for survival. Some jobs aren't worth the paycheck, especially when the paycheck never stops coming. I've been living on borrowed time since February. That's when my spine gave out at the shop and left me with a stack of hospital bills and no way to lift an engine block again. Now I drive. Ride-share, deliveries, sometimes packages if the app pays more than gas. 60 hours a week in a Euro 8 Civic with a slipping transmission and an oil leak I cover up with prayer. Lena hopped in at 2:40 a.m. We'd made a deal. She needed a ride to her aunt's place 2 counties over. She had class in the morning, and I figured, hell, gas money's gas money. We were both running on caffeine and debt. "Car still rattling like that?" she asked, sipping from a half-warm energy drink. She always smelled like hospital floors and burnt toast. Maybe from the scrubs, maybe from stress. "It's just the road," I lied. The GPS pinged a detour just past Blackwater. "Flooded bridge ahead," it said. Only Lena squinted out the window and muttered, "That bridge was rebuilt in Euro 9. Still, we took the turn. I figured maybe there was another one washed out. The detour led down Route 117, past cattail-choked ditches and shuttered bait shops. Nothing but swamp and stars and the hum of mosquitoes. Then we saw the McDonald's. It stood there like it had been waiting. Faded yellow paint peeling like sunburnt skin. The play area was boarded up with weather-warped plywood. Lights flickered. Behind the drive-thru window, the digital menu was stuck on some long-dead promotion. 99C sodas, summer 2017. Lena leaned out. "Hello?" The speaker buzzed, then, "Pull forward," not "Welcome to McDonald's," not "May I take your order?" Just "Pull forward." I glanced at her. She gave me a shrug, but her voice cracked when she said, "It's probably just some night shift guy messing around. I should have driven away, should have ignored the GPS, should have trusted my gut. But when your tank is low, your phone is dying, and you owe $3,000 to people who don't send reminders, they send warnings. You stop where there's light." So I pulled forward, and the nightmare began. I crept ahead, tires crunching on broken glass or gravel, I couldn't tell. A single bulb flickered over the pickup window. I didn't see anyone, but I could feel someone watching us. That heavy silence you only get out in the country, when the frogs stop croaking and even the wind holds its breath. The speaker crackled again. "Pull up." Closer now. I rolled the car forward, and that's when I saw him. A man in a hooded sweatshirt stood at the window, face half lit in yellow glow. The logo on his hoodie said, Sunnydale Trucking. My heart paused. That company folded back when I was still in high school, mass layoffs after a fraud scandal. But this guy, he looked real, flesh and blood, fingers tapping the glass like he was counting seconds. "Y'all lost?" he said, voice muffled through the window but sharp enough to cut bone. Lena's breath caught. She whispered, "Ethan, the doors. Lock them." I hit the button. All 4 clicked. The man's eyes followed our movements. Then he smiled. Barely. Not friendly, not cruel, just empty. That's when I noticed the inside. Through the window, the workers moved like dolls on strings. Too slow. One at the register couldn't have been older than 12. Name tag reading Jason. The fry cook was hunched over the grease trap, scratching like he'd been doing it for hours. Didn't even look up. Something was wrong with all of them. Then the second man stepped out. He came from the shadows near the broken ice machine, holding a long-handled spoon like a knife. The kind they used to stir McFlurries. He gripped it tight. "Ethan," Lena whispered again. "Behind us." I looked in the rear view. A dolly had been rolled behind the car, stacked with moldy Happy Meal toys, grimy, sagging, like they'd been pulled from a swamp. My hand trembled on the gear shift. This wasn't a prank. Wasn't an employee high on night shift boredom. We weren't supposed to be here, and they knew it. I didn't think. I just hit the gas. The Civic lurched forward, wheels skidding as I veered off the drive-thru lane and into the hedges. Branches clawed at the sides, screeching like fingernails. Something hit the hood. Felt like a rock, maybe something heavier. But I kept going. Lena was screaming. I think I was too. We tore through the brush, past the rusted swings and the boarded up, slide, and finally hit asphalt again. The back tires fishtailed on the wet road, but I straightened out. My phone was dead. Hers had 1 bar. "Call 911, I told her. She tried. The call dropped twice before connecting. "Emergency services." "Hello? Ma'am? You're breaking up." It took 14 minutes to finish the report. 14 minutes before anyone took us seriously. 14 minutes of me shaking, parked under a busted street lamp 3 miles away, watching the rear view like something might crawl out the trunk. Cops showed up an hour later. 2 deputies in soaked uniforms, flashlights already flickering. They searched the place. No workers, no hooded men, no second man. Just uniforms in the break room. Moldy, water damaged. No names, no IDs. And that dolly? Still blocking the exit lane. But the worst part wasn't what they found. It was what Lena found on her phone. A notification, timestamped 3:17 a.m., 1 minute. Before we pulled up, your ride with Ethan Cole has been completed. Rate your trip. Only we hadn't ended the ride, and my app showed the last fare ended at 1:30 a.m. That meant someone else had been driving, or something was pretending to be me. Insurance called the next morning. Damage wasn't covered. Off-road incident, they said. Not our problem. Lena's school called 2 days later. Said her call to 911, the stress, her behavior, it raised concerns. They placed her on temporary leave. Me? I got my check engine light back, brighter than before, pulsing like a heartbeat every time I passed a truck with the Sunnydale logo. Only, there shouldn't be any. The company's dead. Bankrupt. Defunct. Yet once a week, I pass one. Same logo, same rust pattern, same shadow behind the wheel. I tried telling someone. Cop, friend, even my old boss at the shop. They all gave me the same look. You okay, Cole? But how do you explain something like that? That McDonald's is temporarily closed now, has been for months. But I went back. Once. Just to see. The lights still come on at night. No one parks there. No one dares. But sometimes when the fog rolls in from the swamp, you can see movement behind the windows, wind-up workers, flickering menus, and that man in the hoodie watching. I've kept driving. Bills don't wait, and painkillers only do so. Much. I've learned to ignore the engine noise, the flickers in my mirror, the way my rideshare app glitches at 3:17 a.m. every night. But I don't take detours anymore. And I never stop at that McDonald's. I saw Lena last week. She's better, but she won't drive at night. Keeps a cross in her glove box even though she was never religious. Told me she still hears tapping on her window when it rains. There's 1,000 reasons we shouldn't have stopped that night, but here's the truth, and it's not what you think. We weren't lured by ghosts or demons. We stopped because we were broke, tired, and desperate. And that place feeds on people like us. People who can't afford to say no, who'll take the risk because there's no safer option. It's not just the McDonald's. It's the world. Broken, familiar, still open 24 hours. And when it swallows you, no one believes the receipt. The system won't save you. So know the difference between hunger and a trap, because not every light in the dark is safe to follow. I wasn't supposed to be working that night, but bills don't pause for grief. My dad died last year and left me with 18,000 ZWR in funeral debt and not a cent of inheritance. Since then, I'd been living inside my Bolt car, driving across Krakow until my knuckles ached and my eyes blurred. I was running on espresso shots and the kind of numb you don't shake off. Kaja flagged me at 2 a.m. outside a 24-hour pharmacy in Noah Huda. Her winter coat looked 2 sizes too big, like she'd shrunk into it. We used to joke about med school, together before I dropped out. She still hadn't, but judging by the pill pack in her lap, the loans were taking more than grades. We were cutting across National Highway 9 when the GPS chirped. Road closure ahead, rerouting. The route detoured us through a crumbling industrial block, past skeletons of old factories and fog-shrouded birch trees. I frowned. That section of road wasn't supposed to exist anymore. Decommissioned years ago. But I followed the instructions. Anyway, that's when we saw it. A McDonald's glowing dimly in the frost, its sign flickering 24 godziny. The parking lot was empty, save for a rusted Fiat 126P with no license plates. The digital menu displayed 1.99 zł promocja 2018, frozen in time. Kaya leaned out as the speaker crackled, "Proszę podjechać," not "welcome to McDonald's, just pull forward," and like fools we did. It was too quiet, no laughter, no fryer sizzle, just buzzing lights and static. I pulled up to the window, but there was no worker, only a slow-moving shadow behind the counter. Inside, they looked wrong. The cashier, his name tag said Powell, looked like someone had compressed 30 years of hard labor into a teenage body. Pale skin stretched tight, lips chapped and peeling. His hands moved with mechanical precision, like someone was guiding him from behind a curtain. A fry cook stood frozen by the grease trap, his back turned. His hand kept moving to his knuckle, picking at a scab, peeling it open again and again. He never flinched, never turned. Then came the man at the counter. He stepped into view with no sound, wearing a faded Polmot trucking hoodie. The company went under years ago, but the logo looked freshly pressed. He pressed his palm flat against the glass partition and smiled. Barely. "You lost?" he asked, like he already knew. Kaya's hand tightened around her pepper spray. "Merrick, the doors." I hit the locks. Behind us, a stack of moldy Happy Meal boxes blocked the only exit. From the back room, the second man appeared, coming through the open door near the broken ice machine. He held a McFlurry spoon like a blade, metal gleaming under, flickering light. My pulse was racing. I wasn't sure what scared me more, the expressionless faces, or the fact that no one seemed surprised we were there. I didn't wait to see what the second man would do. I turned the wheel and floored it toward the emergency exit at the side of the building. The tires screamed. The old alarm system wailed. The doors buckled and then burst open under the Civic's weight. Branches scraped the car as we careened into a drainage ditch, nearly spinning out before I jerked the wheel back onto the road. My hands were shaking, heart hammering so hard it drowned out the engine's whine. Kaja was hyperventilating. She fumbled her phone and tried calling 112. It took 14 minutes to connect. The dispatcher said the signal was bad. Poor coverage in that area. Cops came an hour later. They didn't find employees, just moth-eaten uniforms in the break room, stained and brittle like they'd been buried. No trace of powwow, no second man. But they did find a Polmot ID badge near the register, rusted over. The plastic bubbled like it had been underwater. One cop muttered something about squatters or pranksters. I didn't argue. We went home, both silent. 4 days later, Kaya showed me her phone. A rideshare notification, time-stamped 3:12 a.m., the exact moment we'd pulled into the McDonald's lot. "Your ride with Marek Nowak has been completed. Rate your driver." But my Bolt app had ended her trip at 2 a.m. Someone, something, had driven her after that. Or had we never left? The damage to my car. Insurance wouldn't touch it. Vandalism exclusion clause, they said, smiling like it was my fault. For existing. Kaja missed her next shift at the pharmacy. She tried explaining the panic attack, the police report. They didn't care. They called her unreliable and terminated her contract. I tried to forget, but the nightmares didn't stop. I kept seeing that cashier's face, too tired, too old, too hollow. I'd drive past the old Polmot warehouse on my way home, and every time, a single rusted truck would be parked outside. Same logo, same dent on the driver's side, but no driver. Some nights when my check engine light flared red again, I'd swear the GPS tried to take me back. The McDonald's is under renovation now, or that's what the plywood says. But late night drivers talk. They say the lights still flicker, that if you idle long enough near the lot, the drive-thru speaker will crackle, and the voice will always say the same thing, "Proszę podjechać." I stopped using Bolt, sold the Civic for parts. I work in a garage now, cash under the table. It's not much, but at least the GPS can't reroute my feet. Kaja left Krakow. Med school's on hold, but she still sends me bus stop photos from cities I've never seen, always with a McDonald's in the background, always at night. Sometimes I think it wasn't a haunting, not ghosts, not demons, just the system eating itself, collapsing in the corners where no one looks anymore. That McDonald's? It was a ruin. A leftover promise from capitalism's golden hour. Just like Pol Pot. Just like the factories. Just like my dad's pension that never came. Maybe we weren't supposed to stop there. But maybe that's the whole point. Places like that don't lure tourists or criminals. They catch people like us. Broken, too tired to question a detour. You know what's worse than monsters? Paperwork, debt collectors, denied insurance claims. A world so empty of empathy, the uncanny feels logical. If there's a curse in that place, it's that the world moved on, but left the lights on. And if you're too desperate, too tired, or too broke, you might pull in. You might even think it's safe. So here's what I learned too late. Some detours weren't meant to be followed. Some jobs aren't worth the paycheck. And not every last stop lets you leave the same. Economic collapse wears many faces. Some smile from behind drive-thru windows. Some just wait for you to pull forward. They say nothing good happens after midnight, but in Redwood Flats nothing happens at all. Just sand, shuttered shops, and one sad McDonald's squatting on the edge of the highway like it's waiting to die. I work the night shift. Drive-thru, window. 19 years old, minimum wage, and a switchblade tucked in my apron next to expired ketchup packets. My sister Marina's the manager. She's 24 and looks 35 most days. We're both here because there's nowhere else to go. Dad got laid off from the copper mine last spring, then drank his way into an early grave. I picked up hours when Mom started rationing my little sister's insulin. The worst part of the shift isn't the hours. It's the silence. The buzz of the fluorescent lights, the stale fryer oil, and the ice machine that hasn't worked since June. We keep pretending it'll get fixed. Just like we pretend we'll leave. Around 3:17 a.m. I was leaning against the drive-thru window trying to stay awake when the pounding started. Fist on glass. A man's silhouette, breathing hard. I nearly jumped out of my skin. "Please," he gasped, fogging the glass. "He's coming, you gotta let me in." I hit the button for Marina. She checked the cameras and squinted. "That's Hargrove, drove for Sunnydale, they shut down years ago." "Is he okay?" "Corporate says no letting anyone in after 1, she said, voice flat. "Policy." And so we left him out there. I still hear the pounding. When I cracked, opened the back door just to check, just to see he was gone. No footsteps, just a trucker's glove lying on the concrete, the palm soaked in something dark and sticky. Not ketchup, smelled like copper. Tire tracks carved across the lot. Deep ones, wide. But there was no truck. Inside, the headset crackled. I thought it was Marina messing with me, but what played wasn't static. It was a noise I recognized from last summer. The last seconds of shift NAR 42. Earl, the old diabetic who collapsed at the counter. He'd come in every Friday night, ordered black coffee and a sausage McMuffin, no egg. His last words were meant for his son. "Tell my boy Before the blood replaced his cream, we'd found him slumped by the soda machine. Marina tried CPR while I called 911. The syrup line soaked his shirt like ink. Now every time the ice machine groans, I hear it again. "Tell my boy. Tell my..." And then nothing. That night, Hargrove screamed something about the rig with no lights. But Earl didn't drive a rig. He had a rusted Ford sedan and a pine-scented air freshener shaped like a Christmas tree. Marina shrugged it off. "He's probably high. Everyone out here's cracked or desperate." But she didn't look me in the eye when she said it. And she flinched when the fryer hissed. Marina wasn't supposed to manage this place. Our last boss, Rick, walked out mid-shift, left his headset on the counter, and never came back. 1 minute he was bagging fries, the next he just vanished. Corporate promoted Marina the next morning like it was a prize. "Congrats on the opportunity." The safe's been $200 light since Hargrove showed up. We don't talk about it. Just like we don't talk about the sticky note left in the drop box that read, "I'm sorry, I took what I needed." Last week, Marina's paycheck was short. Again. I saw the pharmacy receipt tucked into her glove box, Insulin, glucose strips, needles. She said it wasn't hers, but it had our sister's name. Tonight, she found her name tag on the dash of an abandoned rig at the county line, the one that stank like spoiled milkshakes and old man cologne. Earl's cologne, but her tag was still clipped to her shirt. Maybe someone made a copy, she whispered. Maybe someone's playing a joke. But no one laughs out here. At 3:17 a.m. again, the window buzzed. I didn't want to turn around, didn't want to look, but I did. No one. Just one large black coffee sitting at the window shelf. No car. No order on the screen. I dumped it in the sink. It poured out thick as blood. After that, I started locking every door, even the freezer. The place never felt empty anymore. The fryers hissed when no one touched them. The coffee pot brewed itself at 3:15 on the dot every night, even if unplugged. I tested it once. Pulled the cord out of the wall. Still hissed. Still steamed. Marina doesn't ask questions anymore. She stays glued to the monitors, even though half the cameras are dead. Corporate won't replace them, she said. No evidence of trespassing. We're alone, but not alone. A few nights ago, I checked the bathroom mirror. Someone had written, "Shift Nor 42 never ends," in fryer grease. I wiped it clean. Next night, it was back. I asked Marina what Earl's son looked like. She shrugged, never came to claim the body. Maybe he was the pounding man. Maybe he was trying to warn us. But now I think Earl never left. I think this place feeds on us. Not blood, not really, but hours, minutes, memories. Like the longer we stay, the more of us goes missing. Not all, at once. Just a little bit each shift and you can't quit. That's the real curse. You stay for your family, for the money, for a promise that next month will be better. But you don't leave the night window. You just pull around. Marina's gone. No, not dead, just not here. She left me the keys in an envelope. Said nothing. Just a note. Don't open after 3 and don't answer the headset. But I do. Every time, because I can't afford not to. I've got a sister who needs meds. A job that barely pays. And a town where the only thing open after dark is the place no one dares to walk into. I clock in, I make fries, I pour coffee that's already brewed itself, and I wait for the headset to whisper, "Welcome to McDonald's. Pull around." There's always a coffee waiting at the window. Black, no cream, still hot, no order on the screen, no truck on the camera. But always, someone, somewhere. Here's what I've learned. Monsters don't live under your bed. They wear company polos. They send you emails with "congratulations" in the subject line. They tell you to smile through 12-hour shifts and ask if you've tried being more positive. The scariest part of this job isn't what's outside the window, it's what it takes from you, piece by piece, until you're just another ghost of shift number 42. Sometimes the thing that haunts you isn't a ghost. It's a job you can't leave, a system you can't fight, and the lie that surviving it means you're lucky. I didn't notice the eviction notice right away. I was too busy kicking my boots off and dropping onto the mattress I called a bed. I'd left my second job at 10:43 p.m., walked 2 miles because Devin had taken my car again, and by the time I dragged myself up the stairs of our 1-bedroom mold box, I just wanted 5 hours of sleep before my 6:30 a.m. shift at the gas station. The pink paper fluttered loose from the door as I closed it behind me. I read it twice, hoping it'd vanish. 3 days to vacate. 3 days to do what exactly? I hadn't had time to even pay the electric bill. How was I going to cough up $950 in change? Devin hadn't paid a cent of rent in 4 months. What he did do was take my card while I was at work, drain my account again, and leave a note on the microwave that just said, "Figure it out." He blocked me the next day. I tried to ignore the ache in my side, which had been getting worse since last week. Probably the cut from that shelf I busted while unloading boxes at the Quick Mart. I'd hoped it would heal on its own, but now it was red, hot to the touch and leaking a fluid that smelled like something dead. So yeah, I wasn't thinking clearly when I walked into McDonald's at 1:03 a.m. It was the only place open, the only place I could sit in silence and pretend I still had control over something. I ordered a 6-piece nugget meal, large Coke, no ice, because ice took up cup space and I needed that caffeine. The cashier, some skinny kid with acne and earbuds, didn't even look at me. Just nodded, handed me a receipt and turned back to his phone. I sank into a cracked vinyl booth with my food and let the tears slide down. No money, no apartment, no car, no antibiotics for the mess growing under my ribs. This was rock bottom, or so I thought. He slid into the seat across from me like he'd been invited. Didn't say excuse me. Just sat there, his tray thudding onto the table, his eyes fixed on mine. "Rough night?" he asked, voice deep and too calm. I wiped my face with a napkin. "You could say that." He was in his 30s, maybe early 40s. Looked like he stepped out of a truck stop poster. Stubble, faded leather jacket, oil-stained jeans. Except something felt wrong. His presence was too still, like he was waiting for something. Or hunting. "I'm Cole," he said, sticking out a hand. I didn't take it. He laughed like he expected that. He started talking about his ex. How she left. Him, how she used to push his buttons, how she paid for it. I half listened, more focused on the way the overhead lights glinted off the metal beside his burger. A butcher knife, just sitting there like it belonged. "People always think this town's safe," he said, dragging the knife through ketchup like it was gravy. "But no one's watching. Not really. Cameras here haven't worked in years." I glanced around. The kid behind the counter, Tyler, his name tag said, was watching TikToks. The parking lot outside was dark. "You remind me of her," he said suddenly. His eyes didn't match his smile. Pretty. Trusting. I felt it in my gut. That panic, like standing too close to the edge of a cliff. I stood up to leave. His hand snapped out and grabbed my wrist, his grip cold and iron hard. "Sit. Down." I didn't sit. I slammed my tray into his face. Nuggets and Coke exploded everywhere. He let go just for a second and I turned to run, but Cole was faster. I felt a tug at my ponytail, then my whole body jerked back like a rag doll. Pain ripped through my side. The blade caught me, shallow but sharp. I screamed. "Call 911, I shouted at Tyler. He looked up, dazed, then looked back down at his phone like it was just another TikTok prank. The ketchup knife, real, not some weird cosplay shit, gleamed as Cole stepped forward, grinning. Blood soaked into my work shirt. "I told you," he said. "No one's watching." That line triggered something. I kicked him as hard as I could between the legs. He dropped with a grunt, just enough time for me to stagger toward the doors, half limping, half running. The pain in my ribs screamed with every step. I could feel warm blood seeping into my waistband. I didn't think I'd make it. Then, tires screeched. Headlights cut across the dark lot. Tyler's beat-up Honda Civic slammed into Cole just as he reached the sidewalk. He went flying, rolled twice, and didn't get back up. The car door flew open. "Get in," Tyler yelled. I didn't think. I climbed in. The ER stitched me up, gave me antibiotics, and handed me a bill for $2,178. I handed them the last $800. In my account, the same money Devin hadn't touched yet. They still sent me to collections, no insurance, no job. Got fired for missing 2 shifts. Landlord changed the locks the next day. As for Tyler, corporate fired him for unauthorized use of company time and resources. Translation: hitting a predator with his own car didn't fit McDonald's brand image. Cole? Gone. Vanished. Cops showed up 45 minutes after the call. Found his knife, his tray, even his fingerprints on my wrist. But no body, no arrest. Maybe it was a misunderstanding, they said. Tyler and I kept in touch for a week. We got fries once, talked about leaving Black Creek. Then his mom made him move in with an aunt out in Ohio. The night faded into rumor. A local Facebook group said I staged it for attention. I started keeping a bloodstained napkin in my wallet, one of the ones I used to stop the bleeding. Some days it reminds me I'm alive. Other days it reminds me no one's coming to save me. I go back to that McDonald's sometimes. Same booth, different nuggets. I never stay long. My side still aches when it rains. The infection left a mark. Raised skin, nerve pain. A shelter took me in for a while. Now I bounce between couches, apps for gig jobs, and sometimes I sleep on buses. Black Creek hasn't changed. The streetlights flicker. The ice cream machine's still down and the cameras still broken. I wonder if Cole ever found someone else. I wonder if next time they'll be too polite to kick him. When I think about that night, I don't feel brave. I feel lucky. Poverty doesn't give you room to be brave. It gives you choices. Fight or bleed quietly. I fought. And this town, this country, this world, it didn't care. But Tyler did. Just for 1 minute. And that minute saved my life. So I keep going. Because sometimes survival is the only protest you've got. They say when it rains, it pours. But for me, it didn't just pour. It dumped an ocean. 3 months ago, I dropped out of college. Couldn't afford tuition anymore, and my GPA was tanking anyway. I'd been skipping class to work double shifts at this rundown McDonald's, trying to keep up with car payments and help my dad with the bills. Not that he noticed. He's been glued to a bottle since Mom left 4 years ago. Last week, the repo guy came for my Honda Civic. I watched from behind the living room blinds as they towed it away. My last piece of freedom vanishing behind red taillights. My girlfriend Maddie called it the final straw. She broke up with me that night. Said I was sinking and she didn't want to drown too. Now I walk to work in the freezing cold, lugging a backpack full of greasy uniforms. My sneakers have holes. My feet are always wet. And tonight my manager Dave, always smug, always chewing toothpicks like he's some low-rent Clint Eastwood, cut my hours again, said I had an attitude problem. I'm 19, broke and mopping up ketchup stains in a fluorescent lit hellhole that smells like fryer oil and stale meat. It's just past 10, and I'm trying to finish mopping the back storage room so I can clock out and maybe find a bus home. If I'm lucky, Dad won't be passed out in his boxers on the couch when I get there. That's when I hear it. Pop, pop, pop. At first, I think it's just fireworks, or maybe a car backfiring out front. We're near 8 Mile and weird noises are nothing new around here. But then I hear Sarah scream, and that's when my gut drops. This ain't fireworks, it's a gun. I peek around the corner of the storage room just for a second. That's all it takes. Dave's on his knees near the register, arms raised like it's going to make a difference. Standing behind him is a guy, in a black hoodie and a ski mask, waving a pistol like he's done it before. The gun's aimed at Sarah, 17, still in high school, working the drive-thru after class to help her mom pay rent. Her eyes are wide and wet. Empty the register. Now, the guy yells, voice low but shaking with rage. Dave fumbles at the keys trying to unlock the till. Then, bang. It echoes through the whole restaurant. Dave collapses forward. His head hits the tile with a smack, and there's just this sudden, awful red spreading around him. Sarah screams. I duck back into the storage room, nearly tripping over the mop bucket. My heart's thumping so loud I'm sure he can hear it from the dining room. My phone's in my locker, past the fryer and through. The break room, no chance of getting to it without him seeing me. The back exit, locked from the outside. Corporate policy. Keeps people from sneaking out with McNuggets or bags of frozen fries. I grab the mop handle. It's not a weapon, not really, but it's all I've got. I crouch behind a stack of frozen beef patties, trying not to breathe. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. Coming closer. I try to disappear into the cold metal shelves. My hands are shaking so bad I nearly knock over a box of fries. The door creaks open. He's in here. I press myself flat against the wall, barely breathing. The mop handle rests across my knees. The way I imagine a baseball bat might feel if you'd never played ball in your life. The masked guy steps into the room. He doesn't rush. He's calm. Too calm. He thinks he's in control. I can hear Sarah crying somewhere out front. Her sobs cut through me, sharp and raw. I want to do something. Anything. But I'm 19 and terrified, hiding behind a tower, of meat like a coward. He takes a few steps in, then stops. "You in here?" He calls out. His voice is clearer now, young. My age, maybe younger. That makes it worse. He moves closer, boots thudding against tile. I can see his shadow on the floor as he turns toward the freezer door. I grip the mop handle tighter. My whole body's vibrating. He turns around, takes one more step. Then his phone rings. He freezes. "Yeah?" he answers, voice irritated. Pause. "No, it's fine. One more. There's someone in the back." He starts walking toward the freezer. If he opens it, he'll find me, and I'm dead. My breath comes in fast. Too loud. I know it. He'll hear. Then I remember something. Something dumb, but maybe useful. Dave kept the fire alarm key in his jacket. I saw him hang it up in the break room. If I can just get there, set it off, it might scare him. Maybe even draw someone's attention. But that means leaving this spot, moving fast, drawing attention. It's a gamble. But right now, everything is. The second he turns toward the freezer, I move. I bolt. The mop clatters to the floor as I slide, past the fryer and into the break room, nearly knocking over a tray of half-wrapped burgers. Behind me, I hear him shout, "Hey!" I grab Dave's jacket off the hook, digging through the pockets until my fingers close around the plastic fire alarm key. Gunshots crack behind me, pop, pop, but miss. One hits the soda machine. Cola explodes across the wall. I shove the key into the alarm box by the back hallway. Twist. Wee-oo! Wee-oo! The alarm screams to life. Lights flash red. The entire store fills with chaos. Out front, Sarah lets out a cry of hope. I hear the guy curse. I duck under the counter, heart pounding. Outside, I see headlights. Someone must have seen the alarm, or heard the shots. A car screeches into the parking lot. The guy panics. He runs, doesn't check the back, doesn't finish it. Just books it through the front door and into the night. Sirens wail in the distance. It's over. But I don't feel relief. I feel numb. The cops come, take statements, ask me the same questions 5 different ways. I tell them about the alarm, the shots, the call he took. Sarah's parents show up crying. She doesn't let go of her mom for hours. Me, they call my dad. He doesn't show, just tells them to let me walk home. I stay until 2 a.m. scrubbing blood off tile. No one tells me not to. I just do it because it's easier than thinking. Corporate sends a rep the next day. Gives me a gift card and a pat on the back. Tells me I reacted with courage. Dave gets a plaque on the wall. Sarah quits. I don't blame her. They bump me to full-time. It's not a reward. It's because no one else wants the shift. Some nights I hear the shots in my sleep. I still work here. Still mop the same floor. Same hum of fluorescent lights. Same broken ice cream machine. But now, every time that door swings open after dark, I grip the mop just a little tighter. Because once you've seen death behind the counter, you never stop looking for it. You don't grow up dreaming of working at a 24-hour McDonald's in the middle of nowhere. I sure as hell didn't. But life has a way of burying you in choices you never wanted to make. I'm Marcus Carter, 24, college dropout, full-time fry, cook. A year ago, I was studying graphic design at a community college in Lincoln. Then Mom got diagnosed. Stage 3. Chemo wasn't just brutal on her. It wiped us out financially. I dropped out, picked up shifts wherever I could. Now I sling nuggets and mop floors in a grease-soaked hellscape on the edge of I-80, the McDonald's. I work at. It should have been condemned years ago. The ceiling tiles are stained brown. The ice cream machine hasn't worked since Obama was in office, and the fryers hiss even when they're off. We lose power when it rains. The dining area smells like wet cardboard and sour ketchup, and still somehow it's the best paying gig I could get in town. Jenna works nights too, usually at the register. She's sarcastic, sharp, and way too cool to be here. Probably the only reason I haven't lost my mind completely. My manager, Rick, is a chain-smoking zombie who clocks in just long enough to bark orders and disappear to do paperwork in his truck. Last week, my girlfriend told me she wanted a break. What she meant was, I'm done watching you fall apart. So here I am. Stuck. Broke. Tired. Just trying to make it through another shift without passing out or catching fire. But lately, this place has been getting weirder. The fryer turns on by itself. The drive-thru headset whispers static when no cars are there. Every single night at exactly 3:15 a.m., the security camera feed glitches, just for a second. I told myself it was nothing. Bad wiring, cheap equipment, lack of sleep. That was before Jenna screamed. It happened on a Wednesday, dead quiet. Just past 2:30 a.m. I was restocking the soda machine when Jenna shouted from the back. It wasn't a scared scream, more like shocked. I ran over, slipping on a stray pickle. Found her standing, in the freezer, eyes wide, hands shaking. They moved, she said. Who? I asked dumbly. She pointed at the stack of burger boxes. Those. They were on the left. Now they're on the right. I blinked. The boxes were still stacked. Maybe shifted a little, but nothing wild. I chalked it up to her being tired. Or pranking me. We joked a lot. About how this place was cursed. About how we were probably slowly dying from grease inhalation. But her face wasn't joking. That night, after she left, I cleaned the lobby. The soda machine sputtered and shot out, half a cup of Coke on its own. The TV by the play area flickered on, black and white static despite being unplugged. And when I looked toward the ball pit, the sad, dusty thing we never let kids play in anymore, it was rustling, like something was crawling around inside. Went home at 6 a.m., took a shower, and just stood there, water running cold, heart pounding, still convinced I was imagining it. Next night, I asked Jenna if she remembered. She nodded. Said she hadn't slept, then she told me something else. It's always 3:15 when stuff happens, every night. Watch the cameras. So I did, and that's when I saw it. On the monitor, at exactly 3:15. Static, then a flicker of something tall, thin, dark, standing behind the counter, motionless. Stared at the screen for 10 minutes after that. Nothing else happened, but I didn't sleep that morning either. Friday night, Jenna didn't show. No call, no text. Just vanished. I messaged her 3 times, then called. Straight to voicemail. Rick didn't care. She probably quit, he muttered, then went outside to vape. Something in me dropped. The shift felt wrong from the jump. The fryer hissed before I even turned it on. I kept thinking I heard footsteps behind me. Every time I turned, nothing was there. At 3:10 a.m., I braced myself and pulled up the camera feed on the office monitor. Nothing. Then 3:15 hit. The screen glitched. Quick, like a blink. And there it was. The figure. Same as before. 7 feet tall, rail thin, no face. Just standing behind the counter like it was waiting to order something. But this time it turned. Slowly, and walked off camera, toward the back room, toward me. I didn't wait. I dropped the headset, bolted out the side door, left everything. Behind, phone, keys, wallet. I didn't care, I just ran. The air outside felt heavier, like the darkness had weight. I didn't stop running until I hit the gas station down the road and begged the clerk to call me a cab. He looked at me like I was insane. I probably looked it. I quit the next day. Didn't give notice. Just walked in during daylight, grabbed my stuff, and told Rick I was done. He rolled his eyes. You and Jenna, man. Bunch of flakes. I asked if he'd heard from her. Who? Jenna, the night cashier. He squinted. Oh, Her. Yeah, she quit too. No call, no show. Whatever. I wanted to shake him, wanted to scream, but I just walked out, tried calling her again, still nothing. Her social media, deleted, she was just gone. I Googled the store address later that night, dug through old forums, news archives, found a post from 2004. A user saying the McDonald's off I-80 had a bad history. Something about a fire, something about a kid disappearing in the play area. The post had no replies, and then it was gone, like someone didn't want it found. Don't know what happened to Jenna. I don't know what I saw that night, but I know this. Something's wrong with that McDonald's. Something that's not electrical, or sleep deprivation, or stress. Something lives there. Not a ghost. Ghosts are people. This thing wasn't. It was older, hungrier. I haven't been near that exit since. Can't even look at a McDonald's sign without flinching. Got a new job. Warehouse work. Night shift again, ironically. But the building is bright, loud, human. Sometimes I still wake up at 3:15 a.m., heart racing. I check the corners of my room. I listen, and some nights, just barely, I hear the fryer hiss, even though I'm not there, and never will be again. Before all this started, before Dante, before the curse, before the closet, I was just another burnt-out college dropout sleepwalking through a night shift in a city that never shuts up. I'm Jamie Ruiz, 22, Las Vegas local, mountain, of student debt and current drive-thru operator at the worst McDonald's on the Strip. It's wedged between a pawn shop and a motel that charges by the hour. Classy. The fryer's always leaking, the AC hasn't worked since New Year's, and the night manager, Reggie, keeps threatening to fire me because I don't smile enough. I went to UNLV for 2 semesters, majoring in journalism, thinking I'd write deep stories about corruption and human struggle. Then Mom's diabetes landed her in the ICU and rent jumped $200. I dropped out, grabbed the nearest job, and boom, here I am. Slinging nuggets to drunk tourists at 2 a.m. and wondering if this is the best I'll ever do. Every night is the same until he pulls up. It's 2:12 a.m. on a Thursday when a beat-up Silverado rolls into my lane. The window comes down and there he is, Dante Vega. Tatted biceps the size of Thanksgiving turkeys. Wild, sweaty hair. A grin that could sell tickets. He orders a McFlurry. Extra caramel, he adds, locking eyes with me like I'm a person, not a human ketchup smear. I stutter, nearly drop his change. He winks. The next night, he's back. Then again. Turns out he's an indie wrestler, Dante the Iron Grill Vega, fighting in a lucha libre league that performs in the back of a failing bingo hall off Tropicana. He brings me tickets, calls me J-Roo, and doesn't mind that. My shoes squeak or that my hair smells like fries. I thought my heart was broken beyond repair. Then he came through my window, and for the first time in years, I started hoping again. That is, until Dante collapsed in our break room, clutching, his stomach like he'd been stabbed from the inside. I thought he was having a heart attack. 1 second he was sipping his soda, waiting for me to clock out so we could hit the slot machines at Ellis Island. And the next, he was doubled over on the floor, pale and drenched in sweat. We rushed him to the ER. Tests came back clean. No ulcers, no appendicitis, no food poisoning. Maybe stress, the doctor said, and drink more water. But Dante's eyes, normally wild with energy, looked haunted, like something inside him had curled up and died. He stayed in the hospital overnight. I stayed too. Fell asleep in the chair next to him, woke up to the sound of his IV tubes tangling, themselves. Not joking. They twisted into a knot while I watched. Nurses blamed me. By the time he was discharged, Dante could barely walk. "Something's wrong," he whispered. "I'm cursed." I laughed at first, but then I remembered the name his next opponent went by, El Diablo Sanchez. I thought it was just a stage thing, red contacts, smoke machines, fake pentagrams. But apparently, the guy was really into the whole demon shtick. Word in the locker room was that he paid a witch to hex every opponent, Some lucha version of mal de ojo. I told Reggie about it. He rolled his eyes and muttered, "You want curses? Check the walk-in freezer. That place is pure evil." Then he told me a story. Years ago, an old man, some ex-manager, claimed to bless the place every night. Said he kept the spirits out. Everyone called him Padre Fry. He apparently hung out in the storage closet behind the kitchen. We joked and called it the chapel because someone left a candle of La Virgen in there, and the friar never caught fire again after that. I had nothing else to go on, so I went there, alone, after my shift. Inside, I found him. Old man, McDonald's manager shirt, silver cross around his neck, wiping down a frost machine like it was holy. He looked up. "Your boy's hexed," he said. "El Diablo pays a bruja." Then, he handed me a keychain. Ronald McDonald holding a little cross. I didn't even question it. I took it and ran. Dante was supposed to headline Sin City Slamdown. Biggest match of the year. Banners up all over town. He was going toe-to-toe with El Diablo Sanchez in a cage match surrounded by flaming neon light tubes. The kind of event that could finally get him noticed. Maybe even land him a real contract with a national promotion. But that morning, he couldn't even stand. He threw up bile, couldn't hold down water. His voice came out raspy and weak, like he'd been screaming. In a wind tunnel, I gave him the Ronald Cross keychain, told him about the old man, about the curse. He laughed, then winced in pain. "I believe you," he whispered. "Just don't let him win." So I went to the match alone. Dante didn't show. The announcers claimed it was a tragic injury, sustained during training. Fans booed. El Diablo strutted into the ring, fire shooting up behind him, and won by forfeit. People clapped. Drunk tourists cheered. But I couldn't stop staring at him. His eyes locked on mine, and I swear they glowed red for a split second. I ran out before the end. Back to McDonald's. The chapel was empty. No candle, no mop, no scent of fryer grease. Just cold air and a half-eaten Happy Meal on the floor. No one had seen an old man come in. No one even remembered Padre Fry. Reggie shrugged. "That closet's been locked for months. Health code." The keychain burned in my pocket like it wanted to be remembered. Dante never went back to the ring. 2 weeks later, he texted me, "Come over, we need to talk." He was already packing. "I'm done," he said. "Sanchez can have his curses. I'm not giving him my soul." So we left. I quit McDonald's. Reggie didn't even look up from his vape pen. Dante sold the truck. We pooled our savings, took what little we had, and moved to Reno. Started a food truck. Called it the Iron McFlurry. Served late-night burgers, fries, and caramel milkshakes with churro bits. People loved it. They still do. We're not rich. Not even close. But we're free. The twins were born last May. Mira and Mateo. Loud, hungry, and beautiful. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Dante had stepped into that ring, or if I hadn't listened to the old man, or if the curse had stuck to me instead, but mostly I just try to live, run the truck, feed the babies, love my man. Still, sometimes, when I'm cleaning the fryer at 3 a.m., the lights flicker. Just once. And in the reflection on the metal, I swear, just for a second, I see him, the old man in the McDonald's hat winking. I used to want to be a doctor. I made it 2.5 years into med school before the panic attacks got so bad I couldn't walk into a hospital without shaking. My hands would cramp, my chest would tighten. During rounds, I threw up in a mop, sink, and passed out in a supply closet. The dean said I needed to take an extended leave. That's Ivy League code for, "You're done here, kid." Now I'm 28, living in my stepbrother's garage, working overnights at a McDonald's that smells like burnt oil and bleach. The regulars call it the graveyard shift. Employees whisper that it's cursed. I laughed the first time I heard that. Now, I'm not so sure. We're the kind of place where the ice cream machine turns on by itself at 3:07 a.m. sharp. Where the security footage glitches, always right around the play place. Where customers sometimes walk into the bathroom and don't come out. Not right away, at least. I don't ask questions anymore. I mop, I restock sauces, I refill the Sprite, and I try not to make eye contact with the shadow that sometimes crouches behind the deep fryer. Then there's Tanya, drive-thru operator, mid-30s, hair like black silk, voice low like a vinyl record. Her name tag's worn down to T. No one knows where she lives. She never eats. But somehow, she knows things. One night, a trucker came in, coughing into a napkin. Tanya glanced at his coffee and whispered, "Too much cream, like his mother used to make." 10 minutes later, he collapsed by the condiments. Another time, a teen couple laughed their way through a 20-piece nugget, and Tanya said, "They won't finish." I thought she meant the nuggets. That night I saw their wreck on the news. It's not just coincidence. I'm a man of science, or I used to be, but I can't explain what Tanya sees. All I know is, every night, when the lights flicker and the fryer hums, I listen when she talks because sometimes her whispers come true. At first I tried to brush it off. Sleep deprivation, overactive imagination, trauma from med school. I had excuses lined up like drive-thru orders. But Tanya's predictions weren't vague. They were specific, detailed, timed. One night, I caught her staring at the security monitor. The dining room was empty, no customers, no staff. But she murmured, "Booth 5 is sad tonight." I looked, nothing there. 5 minutes later, a woman walked in, face pale, mascara running. She sat in booth 5 and silently sobbed into a filet-o-fish. Another time, Tanya stared at a Happy Meal box and said, "He'll lose a tooth tonight." I didn't even question it. The little boy screamed 5 minutes later, bit into a fry, and his front baby tooth popped right out. It wasn't just eerie, it was systematic. I started keeping a notebook in the manager's office. I logged every phrase, every timestamp, every incident. Tanya knew when the fryer would short, when the freezer would blow a fuse, when a cop would pull into the lot and find a body in a car parked too long. I asked her about it once. Just once. "Are you psychic or something?" I asked. She looked up from her headset, eyes dark and far away. "No," she said. "I just pay attention." That was the end of that. Reggie, our crusty morning supervisor, thought she was nuts. Said she used to be a nurse until something broke her. Said she'd snapped after losing a kid on the table. I heard another version from Amber on fries, that Tanya died in the McDonald's fire back in '98 and just never left. Both felt wrong. Tanya wasn't broken. She was waiting, like someone who knew too much and had nowhere else to go. Then came the girl in the unicorn shirt. That was the night everything changed. It was a Tuesday. Quiet. Too quiet. A mom walked in holding her daughter's hand. The kid wore a pink unicorn hoodie, sparkly leggings, and lit-up sneakers. Happy, chatty. They sat in booth 7. Tanya froze, mid-sentence. Her lips barely moved when she whispered, "She'll choke." I laughed, dry and nervous. "You're kidding, right?" Tanya didn't blink. My pulse spiked. I rushed to the dining area. The mom was unwrapping a cheeseburger. The girl giggled and dipped a fry in ketchup. Then it happened. A sharp cough. A panicked look. Her hands flew to her throat. I reacted before thinking. Years of training kicked in. I pulled her from the booth and started the Heimlich. 1, 2, 3 thrusts, nothing. Her lips turned blue. The mom screamed. The girl collapsed in my arms. We called 911. Paramedics showed. Tried everything. CPR. Oxygen. She died in the parking lot. Just like Tanya said. I went back inside, numb. Tanya was gone. Just gone. Her headset was on the counter. Her station, spotless. Her locker was still locked. I grabbed Reggie's bolt cutters and cracked it open. Empty, except for a single crumpled napkin with one word written in grease pen. "See?" I wanted to scream. I didn't sleep that day. or the next. By Friday, I quit. Left the key on the desk. Didn't even wait for Reggie to show. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. About her. About what she was. Somehow, Tanya wasn't just seeing death, she was guiding it. It took 2 years. I saw a therapist. Worked part-time. Took community college science classes to rebuild my confidence. Eventually, I reapplied to med school. I got in. Barely. This time I finished. Now I work ER shifts at a city hospital. Real long hours. Blood. Screaming. Hope. Loss. It's hard, but it's honest. But Tanya never left me. Every time a kid crashes through the doors with a seizure, I think of the unicorn girl. Every time a patient gasps, I hear Tanya's whisper,